in today's video, we are going to be learning how to make a little doll stuffed animal. It has elastic so that you can slide the doll's hand on there and the doll can hold it. So if you want to see how to do it, just keep watching. If you're new to my channel, my name is Leslie. My channel is all about crafting on a budget. I do sublimation, Cricut, and sewing videos. So if any of those things interest you, please consider subscribing, joining my YouTube family, and let's just jump into this video. I'm just gonna start off by creating a new document in Silhouette Studio, and I'm going to bring in the cute little animal that I'm going to be using. I'm gonna try to have this link down below. I'm just taking off the outline and then creating an offset that is 0.5 inches, and that's just gonna give us some room for seam allowance as well as flipping it inside out. I'm just changing that offset outline to black and just grouping my pieces together, and then I'm duplicating them and flipping them so that they can be mirrored to each other. And then since they didn't fit well on the page, I'm just rotating it to try to fit both of them on the same page so I'm not wasting too much sublimation paper. And then I'm exporting it as a JPEG, but I'm making sure that it's 300 as the resolution. So for this project, you're gonna need some fleece. I use no pill fleece from Joann's. This is a great project to use some scrap pieces of fleece if you have any. You're gonna need your design. I decided to add a 1/2 inch offset around it so that after I sub, that black line is there and makes it easier for me to cut out. I don't know if you can see it. Easier to cut out. And I did 1/2 inch because I wanted to keep in mind my 1/4 seam allowance and then flipping it inside out as well. And make sure that your designs are mirrored to each other. So you want them to be the opposite because one's gonna go on each side. You need a lint roller to lint roll your fleece. A piece of elastic. I'm using 1/4 inch elastic. This is from Joann's, and I cut it a bit bigger than what this animal is going to be. It is totally up to you what size you want to cut it. I just cut it this length for now, and then I will make it smaller. You're going to need some clips or pins, whichever one you prefer. I prefer clips, but pins might come in handy as well. You're going to need some polyfill to fill up your little stuffed animal. Polyfill is pretty affordable. Walmart has this 16-ounce bag for about $4, so not very expensive at all. You're going to need a needle and some thread to close out your teddy bear once we flip it inside out. And you're gonna need your sewing machine and your heat press and some butcher paper if you don't have sublimation paper that doesn't need blowout paper. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna lint roll our fleece. My fleece is kind of really dirty because it's been stored up for quite some time. So we're just going to lint roll it. And make sure you lint roll it super well because you don't want your lint to turn blue. So just make sure you lint roll it super well. And because this is fleece, you might have to do it a few times. So once you are done lint rolling, you're going to trim down your design. And then you're just going to place it on your fleece. Make sure that your fleece is all going the right way. And you're going to face it down. And you're going to grab some heat tape, not regular tape, heat tape. And you're just going to tape it down. It's up to you how much tape you want to punt, but you want to make sure that it's not shifting. So you're going to do that for both of your pieces. Okay, and now we can take this to our heat press so that we can sublimate our fleece. So we're going to put our fleece down, making sure that the blank side of our paper is facing up, and then we're just going to press. It depends on your paper. My paper is 360 degrees for 60 seconds. Yours might be 400 degrees for 60 seconds. If your heat press runs hot, then maybe try 385 degrees for 60 seconds. Make sure you don't have too much pressure, but you have a decent amount of pressure. I'm just gonna take my heat glove and I'm gonna quickly lift up my paper. This is how much ink release I have. I was using the InnoSub Sublimation paper. I'm gonna do the same for the other one. And you can see that there's that outline there that will help me cut out my elephants. So now that we have them all nicely subbed out, we're just going to cut them out. I'm gonna cut along that outline. So now that we have them all cut out, we're going to flip them with the images facing each other. And now we're also going to mark because we want to leave a bit of an opening so that we can flip it inside out. So you want to pick a spot that's going to be fairly easy. This shape isn't necessarily the easiest to flip. If you had like a straight edge, that might be a little bit easier. So I think I'm going to do my opening right here. You can take a marking tool and just mark that so that you know. You also want to try to figure out where you want your elastic and how big you want your elastic to be. So once you cut your elastic to the size you want it, you're going to just kind of flip so that you see the image and you're going to place it. I'm going to have some overhang on the sides just in case. I will trim it afterwards. I made mine about 6 inches. You can make yours smaller, bigger. It just depends on the size of your doll. And I'm just going to put mine, I'm deciding right here. You can put it wherever you would like or you would think is best. And then you can just bring down your fabric. And now, if you want, you can use pins where the elastic is just to hold that in place if you're worried about it kind of shifting on you. And then I'm just going to clip the rest of it. Really don't fully have to because fleece kind of sticks to itself, but just in case. So now we're going to take this to our sewing machine and we're going to sew from one line all the way around at a 1/4 seam allowance to the other line. We're going to make sure we backstitch at the beginning and end. I just want to point out that I went over my elastic a few times just to give it more stability. You know, kids are going to be playing with this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to trim that seam allowance all the way around. I just find that that's going to help smoother edges. So I'm going to use my pinking shears. You can definitely use fabric scissors if that's all you want. Also make sure you trim down your elastic. And I'm getting as close as I can to the stitches, but I'm not cutting through the stitches. And make sure that you don't trim that gap that you have there. So I just bring my pinking shears like that. And the reason why you want to make sure that you don't trim that gap is because you need all that extra fabric to be able to turn it. So now that you have trimmed it, you're just going to take your finger, very carefully pull the other side and just gently pull it. You don't want to rip your stitches. And you can take something like a chopstick through that opening and just kind of like rub it against the edges. Not poking it, but just rubbing it against the edges to give you some nice, clean, smooth edges. So now you can get your polyfill and you can start filling up your elephant. So you're just gonna put it in through that hole, making sure to get it, use your fingers and get it like in all the little corners. And again, make sure you're not putting too much force where your stitches are because you don't want to open those up. And it's up to you how much you want to fill it, but you want to make sure that you don't fill it all the way where you can't close it on top. So keep that in mind. Okay, so feel it around, see if that's a good amount of stuffing for you. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. So cute. Okay, and now we're just going to use a ladder stitch and we're going to sew up the top. If you want to, you can definitely do top stitching if you want, put a little bit less filling in it and then just top stitch all the way around. I'm gonna do a ladder stitch. It's just gonna look much nicer. You're going to just pull at it a little bit, tuck in those ends, and then just ladder stitch. And when you get to the end, you just want to take your needle, put it through one side, and then take your thread and kind of wrap it around your needle to make a knot. I'm just gonna do that a few times just to make sure that it's secure. And then you can just trim your threads and you won't even be able to see that seam. And you're all done with your little doll stuffed animal. Look at that. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. It's a quick, easy project, but so cute. I love how it turned out. My daughter is going to love this. So let me know down below if you guys try this out. Let me know what else you want to see on my channel. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.